Hello? Oh, God.
Can you start by telling us your name?
Yeah, Constable Nick Keating.
Okay. In your experience, can you estimate how many accidents you've seen as a result of distracted driving?
So to give you an exact number, I can't do that. But I think more and more accidents are being caused by distracted driving. In order to figure that out, you'd have to go into someone's phone and figure out exactly when the accident happened to see if they were on their phone, whether it be texting or calling, or in their social media profiles or different things like that. I go out a few different times in things other than a police cruiser, and when you're out in those vehicles, it's very easy to catch people on their phones. All the time you're seeing people texting and talking and doing different things while you're out driving around, and you know that that's affecting things like collisions.
How does that compare to accidents caused by impaired driving?
So I would say they're fairly similar because with impaired driving, whether it be by alcohol or a drug, people aren't able to focus properly. They're not able to be attentive to all the different things that they have to do when they're driving. And similarly with the phone, whether you're texting, whether you're talking, whether you're updating your social media profile, you're not focusing on the task at hand, which is driving. And driving requires a lot of focus to keep yourself safe and keep other drivers safe.
What would you say is the most common distraction for young drivers?
So obviously their cell phones, and the other thing that's common for them is the friends in the car, if they have friends in their car. But their cell phones, and I think updating their social media profiles and texting people while they're driving.
What are ways we can combat distracted driving?
I would say, first of all, try not to have your cell phone on you, like in your pocket. You could put it somewhere in the car so that if it does buzz or ring or whatever, it's not right there for you to grab. The other thing is if you have somebody in their car, they could answer the phone for you, or they could send a text for you, or do things like that so that you as the driver aren't tempted to do that yourself. You could just tell them what you need done. And then the other thing is, as a person, whether it's a loved one or whatever, and say your friend is driving or your mom is driving or whoever, don't call or text them if you know that they're driving somewhere, because then it just doesn't give them that temptation to go and answer their phone or answer that text.
What would you say is the most dangerous distraction?
So anything that has to do with the cell phone. I think when people start, if you're thinking about all the different things that you can do on your cell phone, when people start updating social media profiles and stuff like that, I think that's really starting to distract people. Texting is too, obviously, but I think you're even putting that much more thought into updates on a profile, or if you're scrolling down through, your Facebook news feed or Twitter or Snapchat or whatever, you're not focusing on what you're supposed to be focusing on.
Do you have any advice for someone in a car while the driver is distracted?
I would tell them to stop and take their phone from them. Say, here, let me do it. I can update stuff for you. I can answer for you, all that kind of stuff, because you don't want to be the victim. I mean, you could go as far as being killed if the person's distracted while they're driving, they get in an accident or collision, and you get injured or killed, then you don't want that to happen. So you got to step up, you got to speak up and say something to them to get them to stop.
What are the fees for distracted driving?
So the fine is $490, and it's 3 demerit points, and that's for the first time. If there's a second time, the prosecutor's probably going to go for something higher, and I think that the maximum fine is somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000.
What should you do if you see someone on the road who's driving while distracted?
So you want to pull over, obviously, unless you have the Bluetooth stuff that you can say dial 911 or different things like that, and call the police and tell them, get a description of the vehicle, get a description of the driver, what they were doing, license plate, all that kind of stuff, to give the police as much information as you can about what behavior that person's doing. Because whether it's distracted driving or impaired driving, we want to get those people off the road because they're a danger to everybody else and to themselves.
Thank you for your time. Do you have any last words you'd like to say to young drivers about distracted driving?
Just that distracted driving needs to be a lot like impaired driving has become over the years. So 25 years ago, although impaired driving was illegal, it was seen as not necessarily socially unacceptable. So people thought, whatever, I go out to a party, I drink, I drive home, I get caught, it's just a cost of doing business. Where now impaired driving has become socially unacceptable because people can be killed and things like that. And I think that we need to look at that the same way with distracted driving. Right now, we've been so used to, for a while, it wasn't illegal to use your cell phone in a car. And now it's become illegal, and we're kind of in that transition where people just still aren't getting it through their heads that we can't be using our cell phones in the car. So it needs to become socially unacceptable to use your cell phone in the vehicle, at least while you're behind the wheel. And then hopefully, that will sort of trickle down as people are getting older, and the next generation isn't going to do that as much, and we want this generation to stop doing that too.